ECAfrica100, connecting entrepreneurs on the African continent and beyond. Profiling 100 entrepreneurs in 100 days. Tune in as we amplify African excellence with your host, Vanessa Perimal, on Africa Business Radio.
Hi guys, and thank you for joining yet another episode of ECAfrica100, coming to you on a podcast set up by Africa Business Radio, who you now know found out about our hustle, and in doing their planning, understood that we both solved problems for each other. The journey of EC Africa today is one that I'm delighted with, because the guest we have has given us one of his most precious commodities. He is highly renowned globally. He barely has time for coffee, I doubt, and he's given us time. And so entrepreneurs, as you bring your coffee and your pens and paper, if you ever thought African leaders were not accessible, start thinking again. Start Googling the name Sipho Mseleku. Sir, welcome to ECAfrica100.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm honored that you would allow us in as mere mortals as entrepreneurs, because we start from the bottom of the pyramid. And it's always exciting to speak to businessmen and women of influence. Talk to us about your enterprising and this vast dynasty you've created.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I think it's by the grace of God that we given opportunity to start and run businesses. Success comes from the Lord. And I was privileged to start my company, Sakhumnotho Group, 18 years ago with nothing, and just with faith and trust in God that it would work. But the opportunity I had, which was the foundation for starting, was I had invested in myself through education, through networks, and through reading and knowledge and researching. So, which are key tools for any success, because you are what you know. If you see a successful entrepreneur more successful than you, is because that person knows something that you do not know, has some more knowledge than you. Number two, has more networks than you, because success comes from networks. Success comes from knowledge, investing in knowledge. So, and I think that's really key. And of course, success comes from your faith in God, and because everything comes from God. So a combination of that is likely to fast track you. But also success comes from knowing what to do from scratch and knowing when to leverage on partnerships. I'll tell you a good example. Years back when I was starting in business, I got an opportunity to buy 2 dealerships. My banker called me and said, we've got opportunity for you. There's a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Bloemfontein we can sell to you. There's another one in Bethlehem in Free State, BMW dealership. We'll finance you, but you have to contribute so much. And I didn't have that money. And I really wanted to own 100%, but I couldn't. So quickly, I called a friend who I knew first lived closer to the place where one of the dealerships was, in Free State, closer to Bethlehem, and said, I've got this opportunity, I've got so much money, I'm short of so much money, can we co-invest? You take 50%, I take 50%, and we'll own the dealership jointly.
So you owned 2 at one time in collaboration?
No. I owned 1.
But you collaborated?
At one time we collaborated to get a point. So that's how I got into business, by accepting that I cannot bite more than I can chew, that I needed a partnership. I left the Mercedes-Benz dealership. I focused on the BMW dealership because, one, the proximity of that, for somebody to manage it for me, because I'm based in Johannesburg. Right. My friend was based in Free State, closer to where the Bethlehem, and Bloemfontein was far. So we left the Bloemfontein dealership, focused on the Bethlehem dealership, but we owned it jointly. and he had more time to look after it.
So you made discerning business decisions, and ECAfrica is a discerning show, that's how I'd like to think.
Yeah.
Sakhumnotho is a global player in investments, in capital, in equity, in trade and investments. People all over the continent are looking for business leaders who offer a difference. Everybody says collaborate, everybody says entrepreneurship is the way.
Yeah.
I came across Global Business Roundtable, a project we're highly invested in ourselves right now, because what sets you apart from everybody else is you talk integrity in business, and you talk of building forward universities, online, you talk about mentoring. Mo Ibrahim had a fund to give away to presidents if they were ethical, and he hasn't given that money away for a while. And you have a precious leadership position. Talk to us about these problems and how, from your vantage, what do we need to start doing now?
I think we have to invest in ethical leaders of integrity. And we have to raise the young people, future leaders. That's why GBR, the Global Business Roundtable, which is in 82 countries, is also in universities, because we want to invest in the young upcoming leaders. And we're training them. The difference between GBR and other chambers of commerce is that our focus is on holistic development of people in line with God's purpose for those people. And the spiritual development, the ethical development is a critical part of it, because you can have laws, people break them. But if you fear God, you self-regulate. Right. Your own conscience tells you, I can't do this, it's wrong. To get a point, I don't need a law of a country to tell me, don't steal. It's those kinds of things that are very important. So the God element in anything you do is,
and this is
very,
God
very important.
Sectorally, or is it a Christian God, or is it a universal belief in a higher being?
It's God. There's only one God,
right,
who created heaven and earth. That God.
And so as business people, we can partake in a Global Business Roundtable talking values and ethics.
Yes, because they're part of how we should do business. And you can do business ethically and be successful. So the Global Business Roundtable has created that platform of like-minded people. And all nations, all religious backgrounds, all denominations, who are driven by the love of God, the fear of God, and the love of humanity, wanting to develop each other and support each other through networks, through creating opportunities, through finding solutions, through being available to mentor others. Those who want to start businesses, they've got people who've been there who will guide them and say, no, don't do this, I've done that. I've mentored many people.
Right.
And GBR mentors a lot of people. And that's the whole platform. We interact as business people with students from universities, something I never had when I grew up. To get a point where I would be in the same conference starting my degree and with people who are captains of industries who are likely to create a job for me and who are likely to mentor me. So it's a platform that we've created which we think has a lot of value to offer to people around the world.
So listeners, this is your first opportunity. 82 countries, are you working with me? 54 on the continent. I would start Googling Global Business Roundtable. I would start looking at opportunities, because I know yours is, you're hosting your 9th annual Global Business Roundtable in March in Johannesburg in South Africa, but yours is a process that's part of an organic movement. Talk to us about how do we tap into Global Business Roundtable? What do you have, chapters? Do you have universities? How do anyone on the globe interact with the organization?
First, you can interact with the organization through our website, www.globalbusinessroundtable.com, and you'll find more information there, and you can register as a member there if you are interested. And secondly, you can come to our events, our conference, gbrcongress.com. We host this congress, which is a global congress every year around March, April, for people around the world to come and network and do business. So you can go straight to our congress website and register, gbrcongress.com. And thirdly, you can watch our TV programs. We broadcast every week on different television networks a program called A New Thing. And you'll find us on TBN, You'll find us on, which is Trinity Broadcasting Network.
Right.
They are
And it's a big
partners.
network, yeah.
It's a big network. They broadcast to more than 300 million people. So you've got One Gospel, you've got Swazi TV, Malawi TV. We've got a number of television networks that broadcast our content. We also have broadcast on radio. You'll also find us on social media platforms. So I think that's the way people can connect with us and become. It's not an exclusive organization. Everybody is welcome to join. We are an SMME, you are a corporate, you are a professional, you are an industrialist, you are an academic. It's an organization for everyone. You are a student at a university, you can be part of it, because we want to create that network of people who want to help each other, find solution, do business, grow together.
The theme this year for your Global Business Roundtable is about sustainable economies.
Yeah.
It's about access to markets.
Yeah.
What does this theme mean for you, and what are you planning to do with it beyond the conference?
It's very important that we try and achieve sustainable economic growth globally. Our growth is not sustainable. You reach this percentage this year, you go back the following year. So that's a challenge, because if you're not growing, if an economy is not growing,
Absolutely, yes.
It can't create jobs, and it can't expand, it can't alleviate poverty, it can't solve social problems. So if we do not grow, we are stagnating. So economies need to grow. And the way we need to grow is to ensure that we create an environment for people to start and grow businesses. Entrepreneurship becomes a huge part for solving that problem. And then you speak also on the conference about even distribution of resources, equitable distribution of resources. So you've got nations that are super wealthy, and you've got struggling nations.
And they both come to the conference?
Yes.
So
remember, we are across the globe.
It's a diverse.
It's a diverse. You've got
platform.
those that have resources, and you've got those that don't have resources, that want resources, both in terms of nations, but also in terms of individuals. Because there are few wealthy individuals around the world, and there's a lot of poverty around. And it gets even worse. I was reading some statistics when it comes to Africa. 2 weeks ago, they're saying out of 2,400 and something global dollar billionaires, less than 1% come from Africa.
And that's
less than 1% are black. So that tells you about the backlog we have. That situation is not equitable.
And clearly in your leadership, you have something that's different. I see you attract a number of ex-presidents
Yes.
to this conference. How did you tap into that ecosystem, and what's important about the ecosystem for the Global Business Roundtable?
We have a partnership with Africa Forum, which is a body of former presidents, head of states in Africa. There are around 33, 34 of them. So we're using their wisdom. They have been there.
Right.
And they like to share with us what they've learned when they were in office, and also reflect on what they would have done, should have done that, but they did not do. There's what you call the benefit of a hindsight. To get a point, reflecting now that you are not in the situation.
From the horse's mouth.
Yes, yeah. So they share those experiences. We've hosted a number of them in the past years. Even this year, they're coming to our World Congress. The former president of Ghana, the former president of Mozambique, Chisano. So we've hosted a number of them, and we've got those coming and others. And the key thing is to learn from their wisdom and use that wisdom to better our lives.
Talking of wisdom, because I'm mindful of your time, some of the pearls of wisdom that we as entrepreneurs can tap into to better improve the journey that we're still on.
There's a lot that we need to do to improve our life, to be better. I said earlier on, we have to invest in people, we have to invest in networks, we have to invest in knowledge, in skills, we have to invest in reading. But we have to give. Because when you give, it's when you get.
Absolutely.
We have to put a seed on the ground. So for every seed, there's a harvest. There is no seed that goes to the ground and not get a harvest. So investing in others, developing others, supporting others, helping others, in whatever small way, will bring returns at some point.
You seem quite content. We're going to end the show by you telling us what makes you happy. And do you have a dog? And do you love to travel?
I spend time traveling. I've traveled many countries in the world. And what makes me happy is my children. I've got 2 beautiful sons that I love very much.
And his face lights up, as do mine.
They're both my favorites.
Yeah.
And I've got a number of adopted sons and daughters, people that really work with me, support the work that we do, and I love them very much because without them, I'll have to do everything by myself. So you rely on other people to succeed. You need them. So every success you get is because you've got a lot of people who believe in your vision, who believe in your dream, and who support you. And even the person who makes coffee for you or tea and is adding to making your work easy and light.
Before we go, where can we find you the easiest way? Is it on Global Business Roundtable websites?
Yes, you can find me on Global Business Roundtable.
And it's Sipho Mseleku, and we will put out all the social media handles. I'm going to end the show. Sipho Mseleku touched my soul and my heart because I'm a mother of a boy child, and I find the narrative so skewed, excluding the boy child in Africa. Thank you, sir, for joining us. ECAfrica100 is where we're at. I highly recommend that if you don't engage in the Global Business Roundtable of 2019, you meet us at 2020. We're excited that we have access to business leaders who see the future through our lens. Thank you for joining us. ECAfrica100 is where we're at Vanessa Perumal.
You've been listening to ECAfrica 100 on Africa Business Radio. Join the conversation. #ECAfrica100.